Not hearing them. Tony's iPhone. Oh, it's still, okay. Reader, that. It's recording, okay. Not hearing anything for nothing. That's good. And then I want to share my screen though. Tony, can you hear us?
Oh, yep, I can hear you.
Participants can now see your screen.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah. I think Tony may be able to hear us, but we can't hear him.
Wait, can you hear me?
It looks like the computer's on mute. I don't know.
I know. I'm just not sure that
There's a new configuration of speakers. One of them has to be off completely.
if you turn,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Yep, you can hear me?
Yep.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, it's echoing, so we can't mute it,
One more time.
but you can hear us. Can you hear us the entire time?
I can hear you the entire time.
Okay. So, and then if Tony wants to talk, can you turn, Tony, if you want to talk, you're gonna have to raise your hand on or text Kevin. So we can turn or change the volume.
All right,
Otherwise, we
good.
cannot hear you unless you raise your hand or text Kevin.
All right, sounds good.
I think we're
I
so we're not getting
oh yeah.
turn that down. There we go.
Okay.
Now we're good.
Missing
Lily,
okay.
ready? Okay. It is 7 o'clock and I am going to call the July 6th, 2026 meeting of the Parks, Recreation and Forestry Commission to order. For roll call, we have everyone in attendance except for Lily
And Andre.
and Andre. I am going to be chairing for Andre this evening. On to the approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any questions, corrections, comments about the minutes from the June 15th meeting?
So,
All right.
so good.
Okay, yep, I'll update. There was one correction, minor correction that David had, and I will have it updated for the posted minutes.
Great. Anything else? All right, hearing none, we will accept the minutes as presented with the one addition, one edit. On to the agenda items. First one is the CXC Outdoor Center sign. And I'm going to look to Kylie or whoever.
Yeah, so
Give me back.
the CXC Outdoor Community Center, they have been working diligently and on constructing the new facility. The it is on city property. We have a lease with them. I have the lease attached for them to operate the facility, which includes the Middleton Nordic Center, and that's the building that they're constructing, and it's due to be finished or completed for opening in September of this year. So nearing completion, and part of the lease or the reinstated lease that was approved or recommended by this body to the common council, that in the agreement, it called out signage and naming, and a part of our sign ordinance, anything that zoned Parks and Rec comes before this body for approval or recommendation for planning commission. So this is on or this is under the lease and with the ordinance that this body is to approve, and it's been reviewed by staff, by planning staff, Abby and her team, and then also by our team. And we believe that this signage reflects our ordinance and our lease, and they're looking to put this at the entrance of kind of where Schwartz Drive and the private drive round up to the facility, so people know like where they're headed to. And I think that's been a huge request of the Middleton or the court trails as part of their wayfinding to the Middleton Bike Park. And so we definitely value having signage as a wayfinding component.
Yeah, things are good design.
I'm going to entertain a motion before we start discussion.
We'll make a motion, we approve the sign as presented, per the agreement we have with them.
Second. All right, Christie's gonna second. Okay, comments, anyone? Go ahead, Jamie.
I don't know if this is the actual final look of it. But if it is, if our dogs allowed or not allowed. And if so, do we want to put anything on the sign that would designate if dogs could be there or not? Because if they're not, we should put no dogs, otherwise people will go in there with dogs. And if they are allowed, then we can encourage it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna admit I didn't see this. Yuri is on the call and he operates our the CXC facility. So Yuri, we are having speaker issues on our meeting tonight. So I just want to give you a heads up. I just admitted you. I apologize, a few minutes late. We just started this agenda item for the CXC Outdoor Community Center sign design approval, recommendation for approval tonight. And we have a motion and a second on the floor for recommending approval of the design as presented on the screen here. If you have anything to answer or say, if you could please raise your hand. We are having major echoing issues, so it will be a little bit challenging to communicate, but we'll do our best. Very cool. So the one question that was here or presented prior to you jumping on was about dogs being allowed. That's something there's two facilities being operated up here. One is the City of Middleton Park, the Middleton Bike Park, and that we do have, or anything that's in the bike park area is under city ordinance and park ordinance. And so right now, per ordinance and per our rules, we do allow dogs in the area, but we will be looking at ordinances related to dogs and specifically this area, the skate park, some of our recreational like splash pad area or different places like that where we may not allow dogs but service dogs, or present that language for you guys to discuss. But as far as we wouldn't be putting rules or anything up on this sign. We're not paying a part of or maintaining the sign. The city wouldn't be, but we would look at putting rules regulation signage related to the Middleton Bike Park. Not confusing.
It's a great looking sign. I love it. I apologize if I missed it, but like, what roughly are the dimensions? You know, like how tall?
It has to stay within ordinance for the dimensions. So I know it was discussed and they're gonna be staying under the min and or the maximum dimensions for width and height. Maybe Yuri has that information you can reply to for dimensions. Okay, hold on one moment. Yuri, I'm so sorry. This has been okay.
Yeah, Brian shared with me ordinances. So we'll just stay within the ordinances what city allows for the signage.
For min and max, there's our monument signs. It has to follow the city's code ordinance, and I will look it up right now.
Is it in the lease?
It's not in the lease.
I believe
I
it's.
didn't mean exact either, I just was kind of curious what.
36
it was.
square footage.
The other time.
No,
Okay. That's just
just one
the picture.
screenshot.
That's a good question, I think.
It's really a handsome sign.
Yeah.
Use the logo next to the city logo. That's the CXC logo. It's really cool. Anybody else have any questions while we're looking up dimensions?
Okay, I don't wanna hold up the meeting, I was just curious, but please. Sway me one way or another, I think it's good looking.
There's a requirement that the sign cannot be any closer to the property line than the height of the sign. Okay. There's sign setbacks, so I have that in there, but I don't think it was totally determined yet.
Yeah.
But the sign
But
ordinance
it
is
has-
fairly conservative, so it's not gonna be
I shared
huge.
2 locations with Brian, and he replied back that those 2 locations.
It's not like a.
No.
This type of sign design is limited to a maximum of 36 square feet and a 6 feet sign in height. Okay, there you go.
There you
Oops, sorry, I knew it was somewhere.
So
Thanks.
somewhere around 4 by 8.
Person, that's good.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? We have the motion, we have a second. If there's no other discussion, all in favor of recommending approval of this sign, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Thanks so much for joining in, Yuri.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri.
On to the agenda, item number 2, presentation and adoption of the Middleton Urban Forestry Management Plan.
That's me.
That is you.
I have very few, I have like 8 slides. I believe you all received it, so I just wanted to, this is more of like a conversation. Talk about some of the findings, and David said he read it, there was nothing earth shaking in there. So we'll go through the slides and then we'll do real quickly, and then we'll do some question and answer.
Can you tell us who you are?
I'm sorry, of course. My name is Kelly Tuttle. I am a forester and the owner of Boots and Forestry Consulting. I do urban forestry consulting throughout the state. I've done it since 1998. I work in Wisconsin and Minnesota typically. And on a given year, I'll do 4 or 5 communities per year. Middleton was a 2-year project for me, so 24 and 25. Had a great time working here. I think I probably told Kevin 100 times, but what was nice about working here was that you care about your trees, and that's clear, and you take good care of them, and it was really fun. So that's who I am. So next.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Kathy.
No, that's okay. And I'm using the wrong keyboard. Thanks.
Okay, so just a few findings which were in there. You have 8,800 trees, roughly 1,200 planting sites and 72 stumps. I did all of the street rights of way, and I did park trees. 913 trees and parks, 7,800 are on your street rights of way. This was an inventory update, so this inventory had been completed, do you remember the year?
No, but I bet Tony does.
This inventory.
No,
Was
our original.
Original.
Was
So I
done
updated it, which
2015.
also is one of my favorite things, because you get to see how slowly or quickly trees grow. So two of the highlights was 399 trees I recommended for removal due to safety reasons.
Hold on, let's ask.
Oh, sure.
I'm so sorry, I'm not. Tony, what was the inventory? Original?
The last inventory was done in 2015.
15. About to.
Just for awareness, does everyone? All right, Tony is our Forestry Survey Lands joins virtual Zoom, and is our resident expert in all forestry. So thank you for your Tony.
I do think my front is echo can't speakerphone. I think we all. Okay, so that sounds like a lot, 400 trees. It's actually really small, one of the smallest numbers I've ever had for a community, and I've been doing this since '98. So, the average size of removal is 14.3 inches. Typically, when I do a removal, it's 30-inch trees or 28-inch trees that have just been, really over mature and experiencing problems. So, this tells me both of the number we're going to talk about next. Both of these tell me that you have been taking care of your trees. So 3.97% of your total maintenance needs are removals. First time inventory, 3 to 10%. I haven't seen 3.97 in probably a decade. So good job. Same for safety prunes, 199 trees, typical inventory 3 to 7%. So you're below average. So it was a delight working here. Next slide.
Doing it.
Oh, there it is.
So really, I wanted to focus on some of your successes, and the first thing is the previous slide we just talked about. Your maintenance numbers are really good. I think the other thing that you guys have going for you is staffing. I met with Kevin and Kylie and Tony, and I hope you know what a good job they're doing and how committed they are, and how easy they were to work with, and how good they care for your trees. So the other thing that was really fun for me is the planting. Okay, so a few things with planting. You do a good job and you're planting really high quality trees. Very low number of failures, which is amazing. You had 112 different, I noted 112 different species when I did the inventory, and Kylie asked how many species are nearby. And you guys, with the exception of Fitchburg, are, top of the heap. So the state maintains, and every time someone does an inventory, they turn the data over to the DNR, and I asked Dan, and he gave me some numbers of some nearby communities. So 112 different species is amazing. So, and that will help for the next emerald ash borer, Dutch elm disease, whatever unfortunately happens next, that will help. You can see your size distribution. This was the other thing that I was just floored with, right? So we always talk about diversity as far as species, but size distribution, which is therefore typically age distribution, is also really important. And I've never had a community get that close. I mean, you guys are spot on. So, which tells me, again, you're caring for your trees. So good job. Condition distribution, again, very few trees that were poor, very poor or dead. The other thing is I walk up and down every street in your city, and I walk through all of your parks, and I talk to a lot of your residents, and everyone knew what emerald ash borer was and knew about city trees, valued their trees, and it was really a delight again. So really a lot of successes.
Next one.
Yep. Okay. Oh, and okay, this is a lot to look at. It's in the plan. So basically, what I was hired to do is reevaluate all of your trees and come up with activities that need completed in the next 5 years and budgets for that. There are corresponding budgets. The budget page is pretty complex. I like to put this in there. It's a much simpler table to read. This is just the activities I came up with that I think need completed each year. First, we're whittling down the safety issues. And then the goal is to start a more thorough routine maintenance plan. You guys already have a routine maintenance plan. I think it could be tightened up. And defined just a little bit more. So the goal in 2031 is to be there. So, but that's just a really quick overview of every task that was assigned. And then with that, depending on whether it's done in-house or contracted, there's a cost and a time associated with each activity. Next. Okay, so really, you know, when over this 2-year process, talk to Kylie and Kevin and Tony. And what are the broad goals? I think what really kept coming to the top was to take care of your existing trees. I'm staying at one of the hotels over on Deming Way, and those trees are just hitting, I would call teenage years, right? Like they're just getting some size on them. And ideally, I'd like to come back here in 50 years if I live that long, and they'll still be there. And the way to do that is to care for them, routine pruning, regular maintenance. So that's the first goal for sustainability, is to take care of all of those. Investing in the young trees, I had all kinds of notes I made for my slides, and I'm just winging it here. The goal I've set for you guys is to prune all of your trees that are over 7 inches in diameter every 5 years. So you're visiting each of those trees every 5 years, which is the DNR recommends 5 to 7. You guys are there. Like, you're so close to this. So that's about 1,600 trees a year in that age class that you'd be pruning, contracted pruning every year. It's a big job. And then, you know, investing in young trees, I kind of like to separate the young trees out for 2 reasons. One, you have a lot of, we saw the size chart, you have a lot of small trees, so trees that are 1 to 6 inches. Those can typically be pruned in-house from the ground. And it is the single best thing you can do for a young tree to encourage it to live a long, healthy life. That's about 1,000 trees a year. And that's a sizable time commitment. In addition to tree planting, that's why it kind of broke out the young trees. So, and we throw around the word sustainable a lot. And for me, sustainability, a lot of it has to do with what Middleton as a city and staff can, and funding staff can manage well, right? I don't want you to overgrow your forest and plant just a bunch of trees and then let them go. And you're not doing that now. And in the budgets, there's anywhere from between 100 and 120 trees budget each year to plant. And that's a sustainable number. If you guys went out tomorrow and planted 500 trees, they would suffer. So when I say sustainable, it's more about continuing to manage within your resources or close to what you can afford for time and money. So sustainable has many different meanings. Next. Okay, so I just wanted to give you an idea of what we're looking at when I figured all of that out. So in 2027, you're going to need 77 additional days of manpower, people power to get your work done. 2028, 96, 2029, 63, 57, 57. I think it's time to consider hiring someone to help Tony. So that's my number one recommendation. When you look at what that person could do, they can prune those 1,000 new trees, they can plant trees. The planning right now, Kevin takes care of, Kevin and Kylie, all of the contracts, the species selection, the pruning blocks, inventory updates. You know, it'd be nice to do a fifth of your re-inventory a fifth of your trees. You're out pruning them, you may as well inventory them. Inspectors, homeowner calls and requests, I think is always, we underestimate how much time that takes. You have this beautiful ArcGIS system, and disease preparedness. There's a lot that a new hire could do. So I think you guys are looking at that. And I know you spend about $196,000 a year in contract cost. And you're a little bit, those first 3 years, you're still eliminating risks and hazards, and that's why like 2028 is a little high. In 2029, but if you get to that 2030 and 2031, that's when things settle down, and that is a more, I would say, routine cost. So there's that. Next slide. This is again something that the DNR comes up with, and it just talks about the benefits of trees. Actually, this is the old one. Dan hasn't updated this yet, so it will change a bit. I think it will go up. But I think we here understand the value of trees, but they actually quantify the air pollution reduction, carbon removal, and stormwater runoff reduction. Those are all wonderful. I think it is impossible to underestimate also the value of living on a tree-lined streets and all of the things that does for us. It makes our communities more healthy, it improves our mental health, it slows traffic down, it makes pavement last longer, so many things that trees do for us. So I wanted to end with this because that's a lot of good work they do for us. So yeah, that's kind of it. I didn't want to go over 10 slides because it's a slideshow. So any questions?
You said you were recommending every 5 years for establishing more mature trees. What about the younger trees?
So younger trees that are 0 to 6 inches,
Yeah.
I like to see pruned every other year until they reach 6 inches. And again, it is the single best thing you can do to a tree at any age.
Absolutely.
And it can be done from the ground with hand tools.
Right.
So with a pickup truck, and you throw your debris in the back. So it is cost effective, it is quick, and it is the single best thing you can do for a tree.
I just see on his trees that have suckers
Yep.
and branches that are too low. And I get it that we haven't had a chance to get over there for a while, but some of the stuff would be really easy to go through. Kevin doesn't want me, freelancing. I just have to look and cry a little bit. But I know it's an added cost, and we can't afford added costs, but man, those trees would be so much better off if they
Yeah.
had a little extra TLC
Yeah.
in the early years.
And that's why a lot of my communities just want to plant. And I love planting trees. I've done Arbor Day, celebrate, like it's great to plant trees. People love to have trees planted. But at some point, you're better off investing your time and energy into trees that are on the ground. They're going to serve you better. Once they get some size on, and if we can get them pruned regularly, they'll double their lifespan. So
I just want to point out to especially the new folks, remember this point about needing to hire another forester. It's going to be coming up soon that we talk budget. So this will be a point that we want to talk about.
And I don't know, Kevin, because we have a lot of new members, and that maybe if you just wanna outline like I don't wanna go off on a tangent here or anything, but just the staffing that we currently have and like where we're at with that staffing and kind of capabilities a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. Tony Crom is on the call right now, and Tony is our city forester / conservancy lands lead. So full-time employee that spends 50% of his time theoretically on urban forestry issues and 50% of his time on conservancy lands issues. We recently hired a conservancy lands technician. Susanna started a few months ago, and that has taken a lot of responsibilities off Tony's plates, and it's been wonderful on the conservancy land side. In addition to that, we have 2 seasonal employees, so these are 1,200-hour positions. David and Adam are current employees, and typically this position is filled by someone that's going to school at Stevens Point in the forestry program, or Wisconsin in wildlife ecology, something to that effect. We've got 2, I would say, remarkable employees right now that are really dedicated, really passionate about what they do, And they're able to do a lot of the things that Kelly's talking about, doing these training prunes, going through the city and knocking some of those off. But again, they split their time between urban forestry and conservancy land. So on days when we have storm damage and there's a tree down in the Pheasant Branch, they're pivoting and going to that. So they're not fully dedicated to the tasks at hand. And I think that's the thing that we're missing.
Yeah. And yeah, and you know, when I spoke with Tony before, he conservancy is it's a big job. So
Do you have anything to add?
This remote.
No, I think that kind of
Tony,
hit the, I think that
hold
kind of
on
hit the
one
nail on the
moment. I'm
head.
so sorry here.
Nope, that kind of hit the nail on the head where
Okay,
there's big demands on both the conservancy side and the forestry side, and we don't have any one person dedicated to that task, except for conservancy lands where we have a tech now. So while we do the best we can with what we have, I think it can be seen and even analyzed that another full-time forestry tech or forestry position would benefit our urban forest.
thank you. All right, I just wanted to let everybody know like where we're at with staffing. We're stretching $1 this year for those two $1,200 positions. That wasn't necessarily approved in our budget. I'm gonna be under or over on our seasonal budget line item, so you'll see that being over, but we decided to be under on other account lines so that we could attain our goals and we thought it was a miss if we didn't utilize these staff members and start tackling a lot more of that backlogged maintenance on our forestry and conservancy land. So we decided to kind of move forward and hope we can catch up with the budget in the future.
The 280,000 status line, like when you hit a few years out, if that was done by in-house people, would that be a cheaper number?
I didn't do an analysis. I could run some quick numbers if you wanted to, me too, and email you back. I didn't do that because I felt like you were already short-staffed to do not even the large routine prunes. And I think equipment would also be an issue. So you would need more equipment. It does seem more reasonable to contract it out, but I didn't do a full analysis. I just kind of went with what I felt like was complete. I will tell you this, I can say without a doubt that when my communities have in-house maintenance for their trees, I always feel like it's very high quality typically. Although your pruning contractor does a fabulous job. Like I had, I didn't have any complaints. They seem to do a good job. So I didn't complete that.
Guess the question would be equipment. I mean, I don't know if we would need another bucket trucker to pick up for what would go along with it.
Speak clearly so anyone who's watching this meeting later.
So yes, but personnel, but also equipment such as the bucket truck in particular can be very expensive. Pickup truck to pick up the branches and such. Might be easier to come by. I don't know. We'd have to talk to Public Works or whomever would be in charge of that, but some of this more specialized equipment might be a little tough. Whereas contracting out, they've got that with them. So I like seeing things in-house when possible, but don't know how practical that is. At least so maybe we get things ramped up a little bit more, maybe a few years down the line.
Yeah, and I think we'll save that discussion for the budget, unless you guys think we need to do it now.
Yeah, I feel like we could spend a lot of time talking about staffing and equipment and that, and contracting first, but I think where we're at right now, and well, I don't think even if we added one full-time staff member, there would be the capability of not contracting out in some capacity. We would always have some portions of the work contracted out. It makes more sense, such as our stump grinding. That would always be, I think we'd always lean towards having all our stump grinding contracted out, per Kevin and Tony's recommendation, but.
It looked like year one was more trees being taken out. But of course of it balances, with every tree that's out, a new one kind of goes in general.
Yeah.
You went through an exercise, I think of coding where all the trees were.
Yep.
I would imagine that's something that the staff can keep updated as changes are made.
Yes.
And so then when it comes time for, I think you had a recommendation for maybe coming back in 5 years. At that time, it'd be a lot easier because everything's been maintained and you just do kind of a more of a walkthrough.
Generally, yeah. So the DNR recommends re-inventory every 5 years. So that's where the number came from. It's a great goal. It's hard to meet. We talked about whether, there's 2 ways to do it. You can do it what you did when you hired me, is that I came back after 10 years and redid the whole thing. Or do you do a 5th every year and spread those costs out? I've included it in the budget as a fifth, every 5th year. And again, I think if you were to hire another person, they could easily do that. So because the large tree pruning is contracted out, you would still want someone to come in and evaluate. They prune, but they don't always evaluate for risk, right? And we would know the dates they pruned and where they pruned and what trees they pruned, but that's not, unless you specifically ask them to update for risk, they don't typically do that. So that's why the need for re-inventory. So did that answer your question?
It sounds like it'd be a little bit more efficient if there's other things that were updated along the way.
Yes.
So there would be more of a areas of focus that you or whoever would come back and do, as opposed to having to do everything.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like diameter is very easy to update.
Yeah.
So that could easily be done, type of thing. So it would make the re-inventory much easier.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? If not, I'm gonna entertain a motion to adopt it.
I will make a motion.
All right,
Recommended common council adoption of the Oregon forestry plan and tree inventory analysis as presented by Bluestone.
all right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We'll let Jamie do it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending to the common council that they adopt the urban forestry plan and tree inventory analysis, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you so much, Kelly, for coming in. This was very informative.
Yeah. It's me all good read. And I'll be back on it.
Yeah, you'll be presenting to council tomorrow as well, so.
Is that more business?
I think we have one more.
We have quite a few.
Quite a few.
That we're gonna get through.
So okay by me?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly. See you tomorrow.
All right, on to agenda item number 3, the proclamation designating July as Park and Recreation Month.
Yep, so this is an annual proclamation that we put through, celebrating the Parks and Rec Month, and I'm hoping that Katie will read it tomorrow night.
I will be honored to read this in the meeting.
But we won't read through the entire thing tonight. It is attached. And I think their theme is, or the theme is power of, and so they always kind of focus on all the happenings and everybody that puts on services, Parks and Rec services for the community, and tries to encourage people getting out to the parks and participating in recreation in the community.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we recommend adoption of the proclamation designating July as Park and Recreation Month to Common Council, and to recommend additional ways staff can encourage community members to visit local parks and recreation areas during the month of July.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Michelle seconds. All right. Any questions or comments about the proclamation? There are lots of whereases when I read it. All in favor of approving the proclamation signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. The motion passes. I will, like I say, be honored to read the proclamation tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Item number 4, agreement with Rec Desk LLC for Parks and Rec management software in an amount not to exceed $7,500, subject to city attorney approval.
So this is an agreement with our software program, for all of our registration. It hosts, several registration pieces and also our facility reservation. So that payment, portion, this isn't the payment portion, so it isn't talking about, there's another agreement with, the payment portion of our POS and our registration system, but this is just basically to have the software system and utilize it for Rec Desk or middleton.recdesk.com to do all of our interactive signups and reservations.
So you have a separate company that does the credit card processing?
You have to have a third party, so it can't be Rec Desk specifically that does all the credit card processing. They have to have a third party that interfaces with.
So if you don't mind me taking over a quick question. So the 3%, it just goes up every year. 3%.
The 3% COLA are like their, so this is our Rec Desk registration. I'm sure a lot of people have, this is the public facing, but behind the scenes, it's like all of our reporting, all of our rosters, information that's needed, to kind of facilitate more of our rec end of things. I don't think we use this for any conservancy or
Stay off of here.
yeah. So we don't use it so much on that end of things, although we may, coming up in the new year for, we're looking at adding an app that could do, serve for like request tracker or, if anybody has tree issues or facility type things or, having a trail map on there, things like that. So that might have a few more options, but right now it's more rec based. So that's that public facing. I could have, kind of give you a tour, but the 3%, back to your original question here, is for, the annual cost of living. And we seem to think that, is doable. Bill and Matt have both reviewed this agreement and it's met every piece of or all their comments. It was at a 5%. And so we did talk it through. So it's an automatic 3% per year. That way we both know like what to budget.
Okay.
Right.
Well, can I forget to do, what was the previous variable pricing? Is it like number of users?
It's a really good question. So we never had an agreement. We never had an agreement with Rec Desk before. So we and I've been asking them like, where's our agreement, or like looking in our files to figure out what, like, do we just automatically renew? What should we budget? And I've always had these questions and I keep asking them every year. And then finally we got like a $1,500 bill and I was like, what is this for? And they're like, because we have this agreement. And I was like, where is it? So they're like, well, it was just like a verbal agreement. And essentially, so we didn't pay that bill. And we now have an agreement on the agenda for tonight that then makes our has our services outlined here.
Okay.
This is some
Nice
of
job.
all the payments greater than 7,500 though.
Well,
An annual basis.
What was that? No, or say that again?
So if you had variable payments in the past, I'm assuming the sum of all the payments in a year
Yeah.
would have been greater than 7,500.
It was like, this is how much we pay them for the service that we get. But it was essentially a dollar amount. I'm not sure the entire dollar amount. I think it was $500,000 in revenue. And we were above that. We've been switching around, so all of our payments, and our POS transactions at the pool and everything isn't operating, so our pool is operating on different POS and a different software system. We have, the front desk was operating on a different POS system, and then we have the youth center that's operating on a different payment system. So I was trying to get it all into one. So because we all went into one, we went above that $500,000 cap.
So we can assume that we were paying more than $7,500 in these fees, given that we had all these different things
No.
going on.
Oh,
It probably ended up being more.
no, that it was a little bit lower, so that this is higher because now we've added everything in together and an email service that I'm hopefully pulling out next year and working with Brent on. That's $1,500, so we've kind of been paying around $6,000, $6,500 per year. That was our last year cost. So
But this extra $1,000 is gonna mean more continuity, more simplicity.
yes,
Yeah, newsletter.
And a newsletter.
the email services that we
Email
have, which I'm trying to get rid of because I want to use the civics or like all of the cities ones, but we have to step that out at a certain or we have to step that and work together with Brent on that a little bit further, and we didn't have time in the middle of the summer to do all of it, so we're gonna get it updated for the next agreement. But the amount I would say is pretty similar. It's not drastically increased, but we've increased all the service requests from them with adding the POS and the payment and we've had I don't know how much, we've had over 25% increase for the last 3 years of revenue. So since we've been doing a lot more services and a lot more programming and a lot more revenue and essentially transactions, then our package has to increase annually, or like annually, if that, now I get what you were asking.
Protects us against growth
Yeah,
and not having to.
if we don't go above a 20% increase is kind of in a growth year, then we, yeah, but it does protect us against growth.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask one other question? Is this recommendation just for 1 year, or is it for an extended period of time that this is being?
So this agreement is a 1-year term agreement, but it automatically renews if we don't cancel 30 days prior. And the 1-year term is March 28th. It's a March to March, so it's not a fiscal, our typical fiscal year that we run on our fiscal calendar. But we will be updating it next year to we're planning on removing the email services and including that app or that phone app.
Hopefully for the same price.
Yeah, it'll be a little increased, I'm sure, for the app.
Mhm.
Can I ask a question that's not about price, but just about the software? Do they kind of manage everything in it, like how it's presented to the user, or is that something that is done like on our side, like inputting all the events and that people can sign up for, etc.?
We input everything on the background as far as like there's a swim lesson registration or the camp out event. We put all the information kind of, I would call it like a template that we entered into, and we have to work off their template. Some things don't work perfectly well for like custom questions, or there's flex forms and things like that that we can get all the information. So our goal is to spit it out into an Excel spreadsheet, so it's the easiest on staff to collect all the information with a large group of people. But our office manager inputs all of our programs in there, and our recreation program staff develops and gives all that information to. Yeah,
This is a really niche comment,
Yeah.
but I've recently started using this platform, as my twins are able to start doing things.
yeah,
And I found sometimes it's confusing understanding, the ages that are allowed at a recreation event on the platform and who to pay for. And my one example that's kind of weird was, there was an Easter egg hunt event at the community garden this past spring. And I couldn't tell from it if I needed to pay just for the kids or also for the adults. So just
Yeah.
something to, I think, for us to think about as we're putting the information into the platform, which I think is wonderful to have a place where everything is collected. But just something to think about, just clarity and like who's able to sign up and who, if it's something especially where it's like a parent child attending, like who are you paying for?
Yeah, I think that feedback is super helpful. Like sometimes we get, as staff, get blind to like, here's information we need. And like, we're putting in all this information and having that valuable feedback, like, we can share with the team and like, look at it as, and, it's hard to always collect that like candid information. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great.
It's good. It's like, it helps us develop it better.
Yeah.
With the parameters that we have, so I did write that down.
Anybody else? We are looking for a motion to recommend this agreement to finance and personnel.
I'll make a recommendation to, after the whole thing.
All right. We have a second?
I'll second.
Great.
Then I've got one piece I will add on to the end based on the conversations that we're having for a 1-year agreement, because it sounds like you've got negotiations or things that you want to alter for next year, and the 7,500 wouldn't be into effect next year with the 3%
It'll come
holds
back.
attached. So if it's okay to put it as a 1 year,
It is a 1 year and it will need to be adjusted, so it should come back to this body before it's
Okay.
Adjusted if it's different than a 3%.
Perfect.
okay.
Good add. Nice. Christine?
No, sorry, my hand.
No worries. Just don't want to miss you.
Leave it out.
Just don't want to miss you.
Who was the second? Sean, okay, thank you.
Okay. If nothing else, let's vote. All in favor of recommending to finance and personnel the approval of the agreement with Rec Desk for Parks and Rec management software in the amount not to exceed $7,500, subject to city attorney approval, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. On to number 5, grant agreement and land use restriction agreement, LURA, with the Wisconsin Department of Administration for the non-state grant program, subject to city attorney approval.
That's a long one. All right, you guys. So there's Kelly Tuttle, or not Kelly Tuttle, that was who was here tonight. Kelly, sustainability coordinator, let us know of a grant opportunity. Kelly Hilliard, thank you. Oh, well. She let us know of a grant opportunity and we decided to fill it out for the Priest Park Shelter. And to our surprise, we were awarded $200,000 in grants. Yeah.
Kelly is amazing at finding those.
Yes, she was like, hey, she sends them our way, or
It's like a coupon. Hey,
Yeah.
you want 200,000?
Yeah. I don't know if it was any. So we applied for it and received the grant. There's the 2 agreements and there's submittals that need to be done. Applying for a grant, getting the grant award and going through this is no small feat, but it's definitely worth it when it's $200,000. So excited to have this on the agenda. Matt, our attorney, has reviewed and feels comfortable. I think there's one item that he wants us to look into a little bit further for the grant agreement, but he approves both of the documents. There's just something else that we have to do as staff to uphold the grant agreement that we're signing. And that's a really like open-ended there, so I'll look
They
it up.
had a lot of restrictions.
What was that?
They have a lot of conditions.
Yeah, they have a lot of conditions, and there's one thing that he recommended to do, and I have to follow up with Bill and Brian just to see like how we uphold that portion of it, but he says largely it's not any issue for us, and he doesn't, or he thinks for the amount of money that the grant award is for, it's nothing like that we should be balking at, for lack of better words. So
Right.
these are going on finance and common council for tomorrow night to review. But that's
So-
the first step.
We need a motion to recommend it to finance and personnel.
I'll make the motion to recommend to finance personnel and common
Alright.
council.
Moves. Any second?
I'll make a second.
All right. Christie seconds, thank you. Any questions on this? It's are very good. All right, let's vote. All in favor of recommending to finance and personnel and the common council approval of the grant agreement and land use restriction agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Administration for the non-state grant program, subject to city attorney approval. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. On to number 6. Overview of the 2027 budget process and discussion of budget priorities. This is just for discussion. We don't have to move or vote.
Yep, there isn't any items on here to like take action. I'm really looking for input on the budget. We're working. Well, I should have pulled these all up. It takes a moment. Just providing the schedule. So we have to submit the budget to finance by August 15th. And that means target date, let me see, August 14th. 15th was last year. So by August 14th, but because we have to submit it by then, we'll take it to our first August meeting for you guys to review. But I'm bringing this forward just to show you timeline. I can't believe we're already budget season for 2027. Honestly, I thought I had a whole bunch more time, and here it is. So we're starting to develop the budget for 2027. And just want to mostly give you guys a heads up, let you know it's going to be on the August 3rd. Is that the right calendar? Yes, August 3rd meeting. So we'll be looking at the budget that night as operational, staffing. I break it up into 3 agenda items. So operations, staffing, any staffing requests, and then capital, larger projects. So I put those 3 agenda items separately. And of course, staffing is an operational item, but I always kind of separate those 2 just for recommendations to finance common council. But that's the timeline, just so you guys are aware. I don't know if you have questions on the timeline. That was already presented to finance. They're having a kickoff tomorrow night. Is that right? Yep. So that, and then all of these items on here, you're more than welcome to look at home too, and review, but I'm gonna pop them all open. This is just like a lot of information to look at. So we have, I would start with the capital maybe here. I'll just click on all of these right now so they can get opened. But so we have our 2026. Oh my gosh, you know what? When I'm on this computer, I struggle with this PDF
I'm not
thingy.
sure whether in Adobe or not.
So I'm like, how do I scroll in here? Plus. Okay. So what I typically do, and this is a good thing to look at, is I'll put a spreadsheet together that looks like this, and I like to put together a presentation of just like what you're looking at. So what does it look like currently, and why are we noting this as a priority? But I typically line up all the staff priority in order. And then I leave this open column for PRFC priority. So last year, PRFC reordered, many or just 4 items here and kept the rest in order. We of course did not get approved for all the items that were requested in 2026. So we kind of evaluate what didn't get approved in 2026, what do we need to push to 2027 as priorities, and start looking through that. So I don't know if anybody wants to talk about capital, or you want me to just kind of go through the whole budget.
Can you remind us, capital items are defined as over $5,000 and the last
10
10 years, I think.
But I think I can get that definition for you guys and put it together. It's in our.
So they're the bigger ticket items.
It's over
Separated.
Is it 5,000?
Yeah,
That seems awfully low.
I know, I was thinking it was 10, but I'm not the expert.
Oh, that's.
it's over 5,000 and over 10 years, but it might get changed, as they're working on budget items. Typically, a lot of ours are, I believe it's over 5,000. It seems really low. That's why I'm questioning myself too, but.
Conservancy Lands has put a budget request for $5,000 for restorations of something like the hayfield prairies of Bach Conservancy, so.
Okay,
You're right, typical for 5,000. Okay.
And then, it might get changed, we never know. So this was 2026 and I can go through like what got approved and not, but just like generally we'll continue to have, I don't know how much you guys want me to walk through this. I'll try to go quick here. Typically, we'll have an ADA, item that comes up, that we're trying to do an ADA improvement every year. And we're hoping to get through a good chunk of this plan by next budget season. So doing the audit and transition plan, that's got approved for this year, but we'll have ADA improvements that, oh, there we go. ADA compliance, they call it a program. So every year we'll have something identified to improve. We didn't get the Lakeview Park entrance reconstruct approved. I'm gonna try to look at this budget and see how I can get it moved down as low as possible.
All's included then.
It's a sidewalk, or so there's no sidewalk into the park or any walkway into the park, and then it's sidewalk turnaround. It was a plan that was approved by PRFC, and so there's like a turnaround area and then walkways so that the main entrance isn't through the other shelter. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that, yes, okay.
So, okay.
I'm sorry, Kylie,
Yeah.
I'm just so bad at this stuff.
No, that's okay.
So when you look at the 2026 column and you look at the Lakeview Park entrance reconstruct, that was approved.
Was not approved. This is what was requested from our team.
And
and
then
then-
the fact that it's red means it didn't.
This was reordered. These ones were reordered. So this is a staff
Okay.
priority.
Well, how do we know that that one wasn't
Okay.
approved?
Let's go to this actually.
I'm
This is a better
sorry,
idea.
guys.
Nope, that's okay. This is a good idea. So this is what, we'll get a 5-year look. This is what I'll put on your agenda is here's a 5-year look. Here's the 2026 based off of
That's what you requested.
that's what that's what.
And then we have to look at the
PRC
chart, the other charts to find
So
out what
this-
actually went and what didn't.
Yeah, I'll put this on here because this is better to look at than me just spewing out. So here's a yes and a no of what got approved and what didn't get approved. So the ADA plan, playground replacement, we're working on the Bauman pool for repairs and items there, the compacted articulated loader, pruning block supplement will, and then athletic court maintenance program, Lakeview Park pond treatment, and then the baseball field improvements, but also you can see that one was grant donation, so that one, I don't know, MBSC, try and get MBSC to fund that one. And then those are different funding buckets, so this is our borrowing capital bucket. And And then that will typically be where most of our projects, or if we have any grant items or any other locations for revenues, if we have park development funds or stuff like that to utilize. So, these are what did and did not get approved last year for capital.
Okay.
And what else I have on your agenda is our operations approval, so we have to look down here. Where are we? Okay, so rec stat, we added a marketing outreach coordinator position, the conservancy lands technician. And then aquatics was seen an increase for operations there, recreation programming. And then, we did get a partial increase for that, seasonal support staff for all of our field services. And we also got a parks operational increase, which we didn't get was anything for forestry. But we did receive surplus funding. Okay, we received surplus funding. That was like extra funding. I'm gonna dumb it down because I don't know how to explain it fully. Bill is way better at that, but if we didn't utilize it in the year before, they get applied to operating request or our new request that the council wishes to apply those to. And then the conservancy operations didn't see an increase, and then we didn't receive our third employee request for the urban forestry technician. Everybody's asking for staff in the entire city, but this is something.
And this is what Kelly Tuttle was sort of recommending that we try again.
Yeah. I think we'll keep this one on here as a full-time forestry technician. I think like just to echo that a little bit is we're super blessed with having those two seasonal staff or those two 1,200-hour staff that do have certifications, but I don't know how we can hire somebody at a seasonal wage that might not always be there. And then if our Kevin's position additionally does a lot of work with request tracker. So the amount of calls and emails and requests that come in regarding forestry is significant. Those numbers are equate almost to the what they see in public works. And Kevin is typically one of our only responders to that, and has to do the inspections in the field, respond to all of those inquiries that come in. And then also all of our landscaping plans that come through the doors for any development. We're doing landscaping review, and then planting plans for new developments. So Kevin's doing like all of this planning, all this inspection response. And to have somebody in a forestry position that can help with communication to the public and can help with inspections and help with tree planting plans and executing those portions, I think will be greatly needed. That way we can balance out some of our other services that we provide and keep trucking things forward. Middleton has a high standard for maintenance and care for our parks forestry, and I think we want to continue that as we're growing with the community. So just to kind of highlight, we are going to be asking for the staff request. I am going to take a look at what order this comes in. We had it lower. We were really pushing for the conservancy lands technician last year. Another thing that I would like to kind of figure out is having a more sustainable forestry budget. Like we always have to depend on, we're depending a lot on capital, which we've been told like capital isn't really supposed to be for but we need to have funding we need to have funding to keep up on, Kelly mentioned a 5-year rotation. That's very ambitious to go through the entire city in a 5-year rotation. Right now, we don't. Some of the trees that we have maybe haven't even been touched. And I think she was very optimistic in that, but we would love to get to a 5 or 6 year rotation for our maintenance activities, but we're gonna have to look at staffing, combination of staffing and our forestry operations, and not just like cutting it out of the budget year in and year
Training
again.
should really be more in a maintenance account,
Operations.
operations, and not capital, because capital is usually like a thing you buy, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
I struggle with that because like if you look at the streets maintenance program, or like you look at some of these items that are funded for capital, and I struggle being told no for forestry,
Yeah.
pruning if some of these other maintenance activities are approved, because we need funding to keep up.
Yeah.
And if they're not giving, like, we haven't seen a dedicated like operational budget that's like going to support our operations of like how we're currently doing it, but we've been adding developments and trees and forestry,
right.
like, and now we're not even catching up on our operation, and we haven't hired a staff member, and now
So where's it gonna come from?
where is it
Yeah.
gonna come from, or how are we going, we're scrappy, I feel like.
Okay,
I
can Bill help us with that?
And he does, and that's why he calls out the surplus, and you feel like, and he very much does help.
Bill Burns is our finance director.
Really good fitness.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Gets all these national awards for our budgets.
You-
Okay.
But I'd like to see, we'll get some more data there, but I'd like to see, if we can't do the full amount, like just incrementally increasing versus like a no in operations is really hard. I'd rather see, partial funded in all these areas than like nothing here and then the full amount here. So we're trying to figure out how we can communicate that better. Conservancy hasn't been increased in like 7 years, and we've added, it's at least 5 years, we haven't seen any operational increase. So, but that's not us, I'm sorry.
Can I ask a process question? And if this is something to take offline, I'm fine with that. Do you have a number that you're given to hit, or do you put a number out there and then you're told what you need to come down to?
No to either one of those. I would say we don't have a number that we say like we should be around, or like, yeah.
That's a great question. Like, are you stabbing in the dark every time you make a request?
I mean, we're requesting, like, we're not like, oh, we need $12,000. This is like us, we're basing all of these numbers off of like what we need to continue the service that we're providing. So it's not, it's like, okay, we're opening Priest Park Shelter, we have a cleaning contract, this is the additional cleaning contract that's needed and supplies that are needed. And for the 6 months that it's gonna be online, and like we figure out all that data to support like why that needs to be there. We also mathematically figure out like, it's all data driven numbers of like what we need, so it's not like we ever ask for anything that we don't need, but we figure out if we don't obtain that amount, then how do we operate the most efficiently possible. But if your second part of the question, so like, okay, you have $2 million to work with, $1 million to work with, like, we don't get that, that's not the direction that's provided. We typically just figure out what we need and recommend it to finance and common council, and then they work out.
Yeah, finance has a big onus. They have to put this big puzzle together. Like, if Parks needs this big amount of money for something, they have to like look at all the other departments and say, is there anything we can do to bring it over from there?
And then if something doesn't get approved,
Right.
you just either don't do it or you do a scaled back version of it.
Right.
Or you delay
Like
it
capital,
every
we
year?
don't do it, capital, we don't do it. And then sometimes we have to wait, like, to finish a project until we do get money, like, if we don't have enough for it. And keep requesting, and then other times we just have to, kind of, yeah, scale it back or figure out how to operate it.
And I think there's a different answer for operational and capital to your question. The capital projects are often project-based, and if they're not approved through this process, they simply just happen.
Right.
Whereas the operational, that's where there's more of a, yeah, if we weren't funded to clean the restrooms at the new shelter, what do we not do on the other side to make that happen or
I think operationally, even like if you don't see a large like impact, because you're not seeing like this brand new pickleball facility or broken pickleball facility operationally, like you don't see it until you see it. Like, because it's like if the standard of care is here, you know, and you're given more on the plate and more land, more parks, more conservancy land, more forestry, and that doesn't incline with it, then we have to figure out what falls off the plate. Maybe it's we don't have time to communicate within the 24-hour period because we have to attend to some, you know, it's a, you think of it and kind of, I think of it in a pie chart of like, here's your 100% and where are you spending your 100%? And then if you get more added, then how do you slice that differently? So.
And then there were priorities that staff set. There was slightly tweaked priorities that the commission set, and then if you look at that, there's different yeses and nos that don't necessarily align to that. So ultimately, who is the final decision on?
The common council.
Okay.
The common council for like most all those major decisions, so they'll and it might be different. Our new mayorship or new mayor may look at this process and make some tweaks over the years and want to see it differently. But how it worked last year is once we develop a budget, we work with administratively or like as our staff, and then come forward and get your recommendation, and then it goes to the mayor's executive budget, and then that then goes to finance and personnel. So it might be different, I don't know, but our part is to kind of queue up like what our priorities are for 2027. And then I think like all of it should be derived from, and this is the key missing piece that is making me a little anxious, but is the court plan, which is your comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. And that is like input from all the community, professional input, staff's input. Everybody kind of comes to the table and says, this is your 5-year plan. Like, this is our focus and priorities. Of course, there's other things that come in because they become an issue or problem that wasn't like suspected, or, you know, those things do come in, but you kind of stick to that 5-year plan. The Conservancy lands plan, that feeds like how priorities and decisions and budgets are made. And our court plan is a little outdated, so it's hard to get true numbers from it. But that's something we still look at as staff, and I can still share out, but we're working on that new plan update, that 5-year plan update, and I was hoping to have it done before the budget season. So it is not ready for this budget season.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything? It's a lot. And I do apologize for my silly questions, but I want to encourage everybody else to ask as many questions as you can to help you understand it. Numbers are not my forte.
But tonight, if there's anything that people were like, I would want to know more about that, or I would love to see this on the 5-year plan or next up, if there's anything that anybody is like, what I am a little bit hearing tonight is forestry, but forestry position should be on the budget, so we shall have that on there, but, I don't know if there's anything else from, our meetings that we've held or anything feedback from me, to prepare the budget.
I have another dumb question. The grant, the $200,000 grant that's going to Parisi, does that free up any money for staff?
I wouldn't, the amount was $800,000 and we pushed that, pretty far from the original request. And had to get, several budget resolutions and, pushed other projects around, to get that done. So, and it's all from park development funds.
So that 200,000 is already claimed.
Well, the $200,000 should just go back to park development. And we should just do a re-request, and if anything comes out of park
Yeah.
development, that fund is full.
Yeah,
And we're not losing any money.
fair. I just had
That's a
asked
good
that dumb
question. That's a good question.
What is park development?
Yeah, that's a good one. Coming. Oh goodness. How long do we be
I
here?
think that's an offline topic.
Yeah, I think but park development's a really good question. That's a funding source that we can do improvements in our parks. And build out new parks. It comes from developers, that pay fees that are, for example, Red Tail Ridge or Pheasant Crossing are two developments. And they have to pay a fee, a part of that, build out process. One of it's park development or park improvement. And then another fee is, in lieu of land. And they can give land, but if they can't give land to the required ordinance, the requirements that they have, then they have to pay a fee in lieu of land to equal that amount.
Does that fee happen regardless of whether or not they get TIF money?
I'm not sure about that. That's a good question. If they get TIF money, I think.
Or is it just,
Yeah.
it happens anyway?
I feel like it would, but I can ask that.
Yeah, so if you wanna build an apartment, you have to promise that you're gonna give something land. If you don't have land to give, you pay a big fee, and that helps us.
When was the last time we looked at the being of?
Oh,
Rate.
it was out on the north side.
When was the last time we looked at the rate that we charge?
Oh, to change it?
Yeah,
I've been looking at it for 4 years.
So does that go to Ellen? No?
That it'll have to go through, and maybe this is a different, not a topic.
Yeah.
yeah.
we should
We're
look
in
at
the agenda,
That you've answered my.
Future agenda.
but it will be a future agenda item. I do have a meeting to discuss it tomorrow, so I think
Okay.
it's being worked through.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question that I think relates back to the budget? So then, for example, like the parks that are to be built in the upcoming years in Red Tail Ridge or in Pheasant Crossing, does that park money not come from this budget then because it comes from that park development fund? Or will it be added as like capital gains topics in this budget?
Anything that we build in our parks, that's a good question. So anything we are going to build, even anything that someone's going to give us a grant to do, I want identified on the capital improvement plan, like, cause we're talking about projects, I'm just talking about capital, but all of it needs to be on the capital improvement plan because it has to be an identified project that us as staff are told by common council we're working on. I don't like when things come forward like midstream and they're a huge project that's so I always like them to be approved and gone through the process as much as possible. And so that like a new park build out like Red Tail Ridge or design of that all has to be on the capital, and where it comes from funding, you saw those
That's how
different
that
buckets. Yeah,
Got
the
it.
different buckets change. Yeah.
Great questions, everybody. Great discussion. Anything else? If not, I'm gonna move on to the update on the community campus project. And again, I don't think we have to vote on anything. This is just a discussion.
All right, so the community campus project, how many people know about the community campus? If like most of you guys, okay. And
Do you want me to give a quick?
yeah, that
rundown?
might be helpful.
So starting back in 2019, I think, it was before COVID. We started looking into getting a new city hall, library, senior center. Those are all city-owned buildings and on city-owned land. And before COVID, we hired some consultants, and we had some cool ideas. And then COVID hit and it just stopped for a while. And now for the last couple of years, we've got it back on the front burner. And the council recently approved $100 million for the project. And so it is a go. And we're getting rolling with putting out requests for architects to come forward. That hasn't gone out yet, but now I'm going to turn it over to Kylie for her part of it.
Yeah, it's a really large project, basically. And I just want to bring to attention, and maybe I should have this on the agenda kind of on more reoccurring basis so that we can keep talking about this. But the piece that I'm most interested with this project is we have our HAC room. It's called the Hubbard Activity Center. And we have storage, and it all pertains to our rec services that we provide for the community. And our HAC room is probably about the size of this room. And it's about 650 square feet of space, and you can barely fit 10 yoga mats in it to have a yoga class. And so we definitely know we need more space, and we've been trying to utilize we utilize heavily the school district space. We utilize the senior center after the hours of programming. We utilize the council room. We'll utilize the Lakeview shelter Monday through Friday. So we try to use all the spaces that are available to us as much as possible. What I'm really hoping out of this is that we don't lose anything of what we currently have. So we have 1,500 square feet of space for storage right now, and I don't want to not have storage for all of our programming. We literally bus things in and out of this space out of City Hall to have our soccer program run, or have programs at Lakeview run, or have programs in the school district run. And we want to make sure that we have a home within this new space, even though this building is good, or the build is going to be City Hall, the library, and the senior center primarily. I just want to ensure that there's designated space to recreation, and what I think is a fair what I'd like to request is around 3,000 square feet for space with indoor programming space. And I think it might be something that the buildings can grow into. Like, we're trying to build something that's 50 years plus, and it might be something where we look at a different recreation space in the future, and there's this overflow space that we can utilize kind of in the mean term, and it could fill the void in the future. But I essentially don't want to lose what we currently have with our spaces and everything that we use with these the City Hall and the senior center. But I also think there's a lot of opportunity where we can plan very smart, whether it be with the senior center and what programming spaces they have and the hours that they're not using, that we can utilize the space for more of the youth programming. So I think where I'm getting a little nervous on this project is not being included with like recreation designated space, this many square footage, or where is recreation included. I keep having that question mark of like, is recreation included? Where is it included? How are we included? What does that space look like? And I know there's a lot more planning that has to be taken into consideration, but I don't see anything that calls out in any of the documents that are being prepared that says like, this is where you fit into the puzzle. And I'm hoping that common council understands that like all the programs that we offer, and I have a lot of data to support like what we currently use, what programs we currently have going for hours and for our square footage. So, and that was a lot, but
Does the 3,000 square feet programming space include storage, or is it just programming and storage is addition?
additional, I think, a little bit. I have, I would say 3,000 square feet is minimum, for all of it, but we would take more if they have more to offer, but I'm thinking that everybody's gonna be scrappy for space.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So how does it work? I mean, you're obviously championing for it. Does it carry more weight if there's something that comes out of this commission? Or is it just more of a, you're putting it on the radar and?
No, I think like I need support from this, that's a good question, and I just said a whole bunch of words, but I need support from this committee to Common Council, because Common Council is a policy decision maker, and I don't think that the staff members, I think the staff needs direction from Common Council to say, like, recreation services must be included in this project.
Yep.
They must be given a portion of the space to be designated, and this is my wish and dream, but it might not end up this way, but just to have designated space that is for recreation services, knowing that we don't have or we have, what we have right now with HAC is like basic meaning, probably not even our basic needs for programming, but this isn't gonna be a recreation community center, so I don't wanna over ask either.
I think you've got, as far as space needs, you've got storage space is just absolute. I mean, that's going to be used for that. Whereas the programming space could be shared with other activities, depending on what those are, but timeframes they are. And that's going to be a little more difficult, but certainly something that has to be looked at. And if recreational programming space is not being considered, and that needs to get on there pronto.
I have a couple of questions for you, because I was on the ad hoc committee for a couple of years that we had members from the senior center, members from the library board, members from all residents.
Yeah.
And the different entities were asked, how much space do you need? How much do you have now? What do you see for the future needs? My question to you is, was that ever posed to you? And if it was, did you put in what you're looking at for future space needs?
Yeah, and I definitely think that when that was approached to us, like I was looking at, here's our office space, and like we're not getting it wasn't supposed to be a recreation building or like it's a senior center and a library and a city hall, and so I didn't put in like here's what our space needs are. Like I don't know how to, or I didn't put like here's what our future needs are, but here's what we currently use. So I put in everything that we currently like have.
Okay.
As far as like,
And so now you're like, oh yikes, I need more than what I put in.
Literally I think like we would be okay with what we currently have, nothing less, but I'm nervous that was like that being considered in there. So
Okay.
I'm not sure.
And then go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Just from my personal experience on these committees, there have been a couple of things that have come up and I'm like, wait, we've had 6 years.
Yeah.
Speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Speak up. So you're doing that now and that's great.
I think like, when are you supposed to speak up?
What was the first round
Well,
before you were here?
no,
No.
well, 2019, you
Yeah.
were not here, right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't a round of planning the space.
I don't know what happened when.
Yeah, I
But
think
there's-
having our,
Because I think we
We should-
wanted the space before the budget was set. I'm not saying that you can't, because it's not been designed yet. It's just a number right now.
Correct.
There's no. There's the number that
Yeah.
the council said
Yeah.
you can't go beyond, right?
That's
So,
a gift.
yeah, it hasn't been designed yet.
no, yeah, I think like the, difficulty with the project or when to speak up is it's like very committee based. In that, and like I wish we would have had, or I wish I would have included PRFC
Yeah,
the entire time.
yeah,
And not just the
me
representative.
too, me too.
And had all of
Yeah.
us involved.
And I know that like, when I would be there up on the dais in the council in chambers, like the library person would be in the back of the room and not say anything, and now we're learning a little bit more about their needs too, and it's like, wait.
Yeah, I think like, yeah,
It's a lot for everyone, and I think we're all just kind of like, oh my gosh, now we're trying to narrow it down and get some deadlines. I'm really happy that you put this on here because it's time. It's like time.
yeah, I think we should have had it on here like for the last 2 years.
Yeah. But it isn't too late, I don't think. I'm gonna speak for myself and say it's not too late. I'm gonna go with Michelle and then Jamie.
I was just gonna ask where things lie or who, Kylie, if we made a motion as a committee to get it to whoever or do whatever, what's that process and where would it need to go to?
Well, there's
speak
an
up?
executive team right now that put
Okay.
together of 3 people from each of the entities.
Okay,
I represent part of City Hall, but I also represent PRFC in that executive team meeting. And that happens every week. And I'm gonna be there on Thursday. So this is good.
so how do we get like Kylie onto this or one of us onto,
Good question.
Onto what?
Onto that executive team,
yep,
I can speak for her. I can speak for the trees. Yeah. I can be that voice, and or you can be that person and not me.
No, I
Because
think like,
that might work.
I don't know exactly how,
Yeah,
that's.
and then I also think everybody needs to play well in the sandbox, senior center and library sharing spaces and. Doing what you're doing now within all the parameters of what this new space is going to be.
But when you say play nice, I think like that has to be communicated,
To everyone,
as a policy.
yep,
right.
And that's what I'm hoping for, is that like, even if say we get 0 space that's dedicated to recreation, there still can be some opportunity for shared spaces and like what's shared. And then like how things are programmed for recreation services, need to also be evaluated for.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that is one of the missions. That there's lots of creative shared space.
scheduling and.
Yeah, yeah. We have so many like big meetings where like residents wanna come, and
And
you know,
here.
when like City Hall gets like so crowded because there's a hot issue, I think we need space for stuff like that, but that's not every day, so that can be like a great recreation thing in the daytime, and yeah. Jamie.
I think the good news from what I'm hearing is that you're not too far along, that it's after the fact, right?
No,
So the design hasn't been made, right? You've got a
Correct.
number, but you still have the flexibility in the design stage. So it's a lot easier to bring it forward now than it would be
I
later,
agree,
right?
I agree.
And so I think, to your point, it's like how do you get involved and get the input that you need? And maybe if you're not getting the feedback from the other groups, maybe there's an opportunity to go out there and solicit the feedback, and then possibly you could take the lead and say, if you're driving something as a multi-use type of a location, right? Or part of a building. Then say, who else has interest in this? Who else, what else could this be used for? And so then you start building, everyone playing nice, I can't remember who said playing nice in the sandbox, but you now start saying, hey, there's a need here. We're doing it before the design comes. And we're taking the initiative to try and get the other groups to say, what else could they be using it for? Which builds the momentum to support what it is that you're looking for. And then you might use it for 10% of the time, 25% of the time,
Right.
right? But that might be an opportunity. So instead of relying on something that was said 6 years ago, because things change,
Yeah.
right?
have,
And now
definitely.
if the desire is to say, let's not just do what we have today, but now let's say, well, let's look for something that we're developing for tomorrow. What is it that we need to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success for tomorrow?
And especially since it's called community campus, it's a community, it's not just,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
those things, but yeah, I just think what you're doing now is great and just keep working
Yeah,
towards it.
you're absolutely right. One of the things that I learned in this executive meeting is the difference between a charter and an RFP. And some of you don't know this, but I own a Pilates studio. I am not a business person. I'm a gym teacher, basically. So this stuff is like, different for me. But that the RFP, that request for proposal from an architect, is the super detailed thing. The charter is kind of like, here's what we want to do. And the RFP is, and we haven't written that yet. And so it's not too late.
It's getting rare
It-
now.
Yeah. And so it's time now, but it's not too late.
Mhm.
And so I'm happy to advocate.
And especially if you're growing the program 25% more, that just speaks in the last couple of years, what you guys have done in terms of enrollment and offerings and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So within a short period of time, you're also, doing a lot of really great things. So your needs are quickly changing.
And just to the extent we're in competition.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And that's why I
I
said
mean,
the
the
sandbox.
library's been very good about advocating for their
What they
needs.
need.
And I not take anything away from the library, but I mean,
Mhm.
a lot of what they're requesting is additional space for programming. And I don't know that that is necessarily any more or less relevant than any other programming.
Right.
It's tough. It's very, very tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got a lot of support in the room.
I
you definitely
want,
do.
I want everybody to be successful. I think there's like so many needs when it comes to like the city hall and like all that it needs to be for the community and the library and the senior center and all that it needs to be. And like when you look at the numbers of square footage of it's like you're only asking for a small piece, but then I don't want to take away from like everything else. But then I think like the whole process has been, or it's a lot. Like,
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When, if I think of PRFC, it can be a part of each of those buildings. But my question to you is like, I see that there's Parks and Rec needs for seniors, there's Parks and Rec needs for library programming, Parks and Rec's need for like City Hall, like all the registration, etc. Do you envision it being okay if we found space in each of 3 different entities, or are you saying I would much rather have one central?
I think my team
Space.
like knowing like conversations with my team, like it would be awesome to have at least one space, because we do schools day out programming. We do it's really hard, the way it is really challenging to share someone else's space. But I think like as long as there's policies and rules developed where like it is a welcoming space for us to partake in, then I think like why not maximizing what like you have is really important. So I think shared space of like if you have common council chambers and it can be designed and developed where we can also have other programming. And look, I mean, you can see the room's not being used right now, but like does that room look like it's an awesome dance area? Like, not as much, but that's what we use it for, is for dance programs. And so if there's a way that we can share rooms and maximize like the way we're utilizing space, I think that's fiscally responsible for the community. But I also like struggle to give up a designated room where we can like
Yeah,
program how we want to, and not and maybe the, like, when I say not feel like all this pressure to uphold someone else's space.
I was just gonna say.
That's a lot.
You don't wanna feel like you're apologizing for taking up room.
I think that's
You
where-
need your own space.
But it's like, if this bill doesn't have that, then like I absolutely need shared space in
Yeah,
the library, the senior center, and city hall to like.
but
accommodate.
ideally, one larger, not a piece in every building.
It seems like at least one.
We're all over the
One
city.
larger, not three pieces.
We're also like all over the city, so we're used to running to Lakeview, running to Cromery, running to Orchid Heights, like all over, and programming throughout the city. I think there's an equitable piece to that. But we're looking at like more of a designated space for recreation, where you could have a divider in the room. And I think what we're asking, if it can't be met, like I ultimately don't want to see like all the time and effort that my staff put in to develop these programs that are enrolled in, all these programs that have full and they're waitlisted,
Yeah.
like not running those programs for the community, but then like we should not be offering a yoga class for only 10 people. Like, we should be able to have a bigger space to offer a yoga program, and then also not compete with the library on yoga programming or like programs. So that's
I hear
kind of-
you.
So knowing that you have like one space that's always available to you, and then you still wanna share
Oh, yeah.
other, because your need is larger than that one
Right.
space.
We would love to, like, we share with the senior center right now, the Cherry Room and the Wisconsin Room, and we'd love to share as much as we can after that 4 o'clock timeframe. But that becomes operationally stressful to work collaboratively, and I think it's limited with design. Like, if you don't have a good design that of a building and you're trying to make it work for what your needs are, it can be very stressful operationally for both the groups.
Yeah. Would it help you if folks from the committee came and spoke tomorrow night at the council?
If anybody wants to be helpful, it would be helpful. You guys are looking at an RFP, or you're talking about
I looked it up.
you're
It's
talking about the community campus.
it's just an update and a discussion.
Yeah.
Possible action. Oh, what we wanna do is hear clearly from the council. Were you voting on just the number $100 million, or were you voting on option 4? That was put together by the ad hoc committee. We want the executive team wants clear direction from the council. Were you talking about just the number, the total 1 million, 100 million? Or this plan option 4, which means the current library is renovated and becomes a senior center, and City Hall and the library get a new building? We're not sure. I know what I meant.
You're
when I
expecting an
voted.
answer tomorrow night.
And I'm hoping to get an answer on that, and that's the only, I think, action that would be
Okay.
happening tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think like, I think it would be helpful to have support in some fashion to the common council. Whether it be during public comment, or like writing an email or that to the common council. I don't know what you think is more
Either one
effective,
works.
just so then they
Either
know.
one.
But I think there'd be some council members who will feel like, where the heck were you before, and why didn't you say something before now? I don't know.
But even if they say that, which they may,
Oh,
they
it's
still.
worth making an effort, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I'm not disagreeing with that.
So Yulia and Jamie, if you've never done it, have you ever come to a council meeting? So right after the beginning of the meeting, which is at 7 o'clock, there's a public comments section of the meeting when anyone from Middleton or not from Middleton, anyone come from Madison or anything, they can talk about anything they want for 3 minutes. And sometimes if there's an issue on the agenda that we need a little boost, you have people come from the council and you come and stand at the podium and you say, hey, I'm Yulia, I'm on the Parks and Rec committee, and I'm here to support a designated space for the city campus plan for PRFC. That's basically all you would have to do if you want, or an email. You could send it to all of the districts. There's 1 through 8. I don't know if there's an easy way to send one. You could send it to me. I'm District 3, and I could read it aloud during the public comments section of the meeting.
You can always
Email and yeah,
get it out to the public and the.
But those are ways that you can get a little more emphasis on a topic. We're not allowed to comment during as council members. We can't comment or do any discussion with you, but it's a way for you to make that known.
I'll let you guys finish this, but I got a tangential type of a comment to make if there was any other bills up of that.
Go for it.
So a different organization that I'm involved with, we did a space utilization study, which was understanding of the space that was available, what was it, how was it being used, and we also understood like the limitations. So you talked, I can't remember, one of you guys said something about, having yoga for 10, but there's 25 people that wanted to show up for it, right? And there's obviously a limitation if you only need space for that. So we did that. And then the other thing that we did is, you talked about like making sure that it's not stressful in terms of who's there. So like, and I don't know if Rec Desk has this or not, but like space utilization registration, your ability to then say, making it available, and then different groups are able to then make the reservation of the space to become less of a, fight or whatever, but it's more like how do you ensure that you're best utilizing the space that's available. And the reason I say that is, one, it's like for planning purposes, but as you start thinking about going in with your pitch, if you've got something that talks about capacity constraints, or you've got something about space that's not being used and it could be used, you can then start filling that as part of an opportunity to make your pitch for why either a dedicated space or a shared space can work for what it is that you're really pushing for. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
No, I think it does. I think there's like the way if we were looking at building a recreation center, or that you would go through a like facility needs assessments, like, or review that with the community and have survey input. And I think there was pieces of that done in this project. Yeah. Having data to support like essentially what you're requesting. We did pull all of our current like square footages, so I have all the square footage of like what we currently have, and then I have all the usage reports of that. But I could pull more data on like the numbers of people utilizing that space, and like numbers on wait list and a revenue, and a lot more data driven like behind it. But I think like having the appetite, like knowing that PRC is supportive of recreation services for the community and like how to implement it into this project is important. And I should have brought this forward sooner to the committee to kind of support and push forward on this, but
oh, you're here now. That's good.
Yeah, I think like what I have, I can share all that data with everybody and just shoot
Will
an
you
email.
for sure share it with me so I can take it on Thursday?
But you have a recommendation up there. What are you looking for us?
So I simply am looking for a recommendation. And maybe you guys have a better one based off of this conversation, but just like to provide common council, feedback or, feedbacks that were included in, the recreation services is included in the, future design and the, design portions of this project.
So you do want a motion?
I would love to see something from this committee, and if it's not tonight and you guys need more data, I'm happy to bring that back at a future meeting.
I mean, be happy to make a motion, but
Yeah.
I wonder if we make a motion that says, please keep a recreational services space needs in consideration as we move forward with the community campus project. Seems so wishy-washy, it doesn't really do much. And it would, I think, be better. Just won't disagree, but if we had some good numbers, then we could say, we would like to see X number of square feet for storage and X number of square feet for programming space, which may or may not be able to be shared with other groups depending on timing, etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe we even write a motion with blanks and then she can fill those blanks in when she is comfortable with what numbers she feels are necessary.
Well, if we're gonna make a motion, we have to actually.
Actually have the
Yeah.
numbers.
Yes, and so I guess the question is, I think we ought to have a general motion and but then bring back for specifics, because I think it would be good to get it to common council from the commission as a whole for tomorrow night.
Okay.
And we do something in the recommendation where we say like, tonight we are recommending in general, but we will have
Yes.
a more specific recommendation coming within, upcoming soon.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Is there, I thought I picked up on something about who's participating as part of this. Is there an opportunity to make a motion for either Kylie or someone from this committee to be a member or a contributor into
The
that
exec team?
process?
Aren't you in the?
Or is that
I am in that,
That's
on
what
that team.
in that role? Like specifically playing that role, or you're on that team and
I
you could,
actually am on it partly because I am on PRFC.
okay,
Yeah. That's not my soul
right,
on it. But if you think about if you think about it as three entities, it's library, senior center, and city hall. And city hall includes PRFC.
okay.
And so I got chosen by the mayor because I'm president of the council and I was on that ad hoc committee that kind of came up with options. And I'm on PRFC, and that's kind of why she chose me.
So we don't need to put someone else on it.
I don't
We
think
just-
we need an additional cook in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But I am absolutely happy to talk to the mayor about swapping seats with you.
No, I don't think that's appropriate. Like, I feel like you should be on that.
I think it's inappropriate.
Well, I feel like you've been a part of the project since the kind of inception, and you know a lot of the history, and you've been a big
I know a lot of the
champion.
history, but that doesn't mean
But you've been a big champion. I think it's really important to have you a part of that.
all right, so
Probably just feeding you the information.
Does it make sense for you two just to work closely together? So
Yeah.
you have
yeah,
what you
I think you need to, whatever data you can feed me.
And I put a 4-page memo together.
Yeah.
And I just I put together all the data. I don't have this to I put together all the data
Mhm.
on what we currently use it
Mhm.
for,
Mhm.
a background of the project, all of our current square footage,
Awesome.
and then our recreation needs, and what we'd like to request. And I put 3 items for dedicated recreation programming space, approximately 300 or 3,600 square feet and kind of what we'd like to see in that, and then dedicated or a kitchen space and storage and public amenities that we'd like to include. So I have all of that.
That's
I
a
just
great
don't know
request.
when. And flexible community spaces, everything we're kind of talking about.
Yeah,
I just don't understand when I'm supposed to bring this forward.
yeah,
To who and
I'm
what and
sorry, but
when.
that's so,
If you feel
Blurry.
comfortable with that document as it is right now, should we make a motion tonight
But
to
you
have
haven't
that?
seen it and it's not put into the,
agenda.
yeah.
Why don't you just send it to me and I can take it forward to the executive team? If that's all right with you.
I can send it to you and then to the rest of the committee so you can just
Yeah.
see it
Yeah.
and data.
So could we make this general motion then tonight with the caveat that this document will be submitted and we'll make a motion on it at our next meeting? Is that appropriate?
If there's not a document that you guys have seen.
Maybe we don't need a motion
The
tonight.
next meeting, we would be
Yeah,
looking
We
at
would
the
see the
document.
document and it would be an
But this will
action.
be a general motion.
So like be general tonight, but say like.
Do we need a general motion tonight?
Is there a problem with that?
I don't know.
It seems like something should go to council.
Yeah.
First.
First.
I think sooner than later.
Yeah.
Because then the one more opportunity is kind of snuck by us.
Right,
So I feel like, your three spaces, the square foot approximately, or at least one of them. And include that in there and it goes to the council.
but, and then, okay, but I want to craft a motion to give to common council, we're not gonna include the square footage in it,
Okay,
correct?
okay.
And so we're gonna make a motion to recommend to the common council and the executive leadership team. Or just common council,
Common council.
common council to keep well. Recreational space needs in mind, both for storage and for programming,
Perfect.
as they move forward with planning for the community campus projects.
Is in mind too soft.
Yes. Thank you.
I think that I like to be included in the programming, space planning process is,
Yes,
and it's saying we wanna be in it.
Yeah, recommend to common council that recreation services be included in the architectural programming and space planning process as the community campus project moves forward. I think it's written really well.
yep,
Or is
Do we
it
wanna
like just,
add anything on about that we will have a,
PRC will be making more specific recommendations in the near
in
future.
our near next upcoming meeting or something like that?
We'll just stay on it. You'll just stay on it. We'll keep getting things before other people need to get before.
no, this would be more of a standing agenda item. than
Yeah,
be what comes
Let's have it be more of a standing agenda item.
But unless you're, if you have a kind of more detailed document that has information, it would be great to get that in front of their eyes at some point. So I don't know how that.
Yeah, let's put it on the agenda maybe
Mhm.
next time,
Mhm.
and then we can recommend it to the council.
Sounds good.
So is that a motion?
I'm
That's
sorry.
We actually like your work.
Basically that,
Yeah, we
Okay.
like your work.
All right, is that your motion?
sure. I want to move this on, so.
Yes. Second it.
All right. Christie seconds. All right, all in favor of recommending to council that they
Recreational services.
include recreation services in the architectural programming and space planning process as the community campus project moves forward. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Phew. All right, on to the park projects updates.
I'll just make this quick. Does anybody want any updates on any park projects that we have going on? I can put this on the next agenda item too. Or next.
I move that we defer this until next meeting.
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of deferring parks project updates, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries, deferred till next meeting. Liaison reports. David Shaw, Plant Commission.
Nothing relevant to PRC.
My apologies, whose trust is that? Lily.
Lily.
Or Lily. Oh, okay. Conservancy Lands, no report. That's it, folks. We're adjourned. Thank you. It was a long one. I apologize. I try to move it along, but we had big items tonight. It's like big kid stuff right now.
Yeah, they're really kind of
And
small water.
Sense about the radio in the morning, they were talking about, Salem, Michigan.